The Glorietta Activity Center in Makati City had transformed into a sea of Philippine flags and eager faces. Hundreds had lined up since morning, some arriving as early as 9 a.m. just for a chance to see their hero. Among them was an 80-year-old man who had made the journey from Antipolo City. He arrived at 10 a.m. and waited for hours through the heat and the crowds. When Dusty Mallillin finally stood before Alex Eala, his words were simple but carried the weight of a generation's hopes. "I hope you will get to the top." Eala's response was immediate, a promise whispered back to the elderly fan, a moment captured by cameras that would move millions. The Filipina sensation, who had just become the first Filipino to reach the second week of a Grand Slam in the open era, knelt down to meet him at eye level. And in that brief exchange, the entire nation saw what the Eala Effect truly meant. The Glorietta Activity Center in Makati City had transformed into a sea of Philippine flags and eager faces. Hundreds had lined up since morning, some arriving as early as 9 a.m. just for a chance to see their hero. The crowds overflowed across 3 floors surrounding the mall's activity center, a testament to the phenomenon that Alex Eala had become. At the center of it all stood the 21-year-old tennis sensation, fresh off her historic Wimbledon campaign, where she became the first Filipino to reach the second week of a Grand Slam in the open era. She had dethroned defending champion Eala Effect on center court. She had climbed to a career-high ranking of number 28, and now she was home. "Ang dami niyo pala," Eala quipped with a smile as she stepped onto the stage. She hadn't realized just how many had come to see her. The crowd erupted, their cheers echoing through the mall. The event, hosted by longtime partner Globe, featured an onstage conversation, interactive games, storytelling sessions, and meet-and-greet opportunities. Fans brought tennis balls, caps, and portraits of Eala, hoping for an autograph from the woman who had united a nation. But it was one fan's dedication that would capture the hearts of millions. Among the sea of supporters was an 80-year-old man who had made the journey from Antipolo City. Dusty Mallillin arrived at 10 a.m. and waited for hours through the heat and the crowds. When he finally stood before Eala, his words were simple but carried the weight of a generation's hopes. "I hope you will get to the top," he told her. Eala, kneeling down to meet him at eye level, responded with a promise that warmed every heart in the room. "She told me she's gonna try again," Mallillin later recalled. "She was happy when I said that and told me that she would try her best." The moment was brief, but it captured everything Eala had become for the Philippines. She was not just a tennis player. She was a symbol of hope for Filipinos of all ages. A hero who had shown them that a girl from the Philippines could conquer the world. "I genuinely felt everyone's love and support during each match, so it's wonderful to be home again and to have this special fan meet," Eala said. "I'm grateful for the opportunity to inspire and elevate Filipino talent on the global stage." The event was the final stop in a whirlwind homecoming that had seen Eala receive a presidential citation from President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Malacañang Palace and attend a media conference with her sponsor, BPI. She had been in Manila for just 3 days, but she had already left an indelible mark on the nation. Katie Dazan, Globe's chief marketing officer, captured the moment's significance perfectly. When Alex stepped onto that court, she wasn't just swinging her racket. She carried the hopes, the grit, and the indomitable spirit of the entire Filipino people. And as Eala prepared to fly to the United States for the Washington Open, starting on July 27, she carried with her the love and support of a nation. The 6-hour wait, the long journey, the heat, and the crowds. It had all been worth it for the fans who had come to see their hero. The Glorietta Activity Center had been transformed into a celebration of Filipino pride. But beyond the roaring crowds and the flashing cameras, there were moments that would stay with Eala long after she left the stage. The senior citizens had come to pay their respects. Dusty Mallillin's 6-hour wait had captured the hearts of millions, but it was the young dreamers who would carry Eala's legacy forward. 12-year-old Dainlay Kadai stood in the crowd, her eyes wide with wonder, her heart pounding with excitement. An aspiring tennis player herself, Kadai had dreamed of this moment for as long as she could remember. When she finally stood before Eala, she was at a loss for words. I felt starstruck. I was at a loss for words, Kade recalled. I was happy because this has been my dream. This is a great opportunity for me. She had watched Eala's Wimbledon run with bated breath, cheering every victory as if it were her own. The moment that had captivated her most was watching Eala upset Swiatek on center court. She admired the Filipina star's composure under pressure, the same composure that had carried Eala through the biggest matches of her career. Eala knelt down to meet the young girl at eye level, a gesture that spoke volumes about the kind of hero she had become. She was not just a champion, she was a dream maker. She was proof that a little girl with ruffled socks could one day conquer center court. She inspires me because of her confidence in the court and her attitude, Kade said. In the future, I want to be like her. The sentiment was echoed by countless young fans who had gathered at the event. Some had traveled from neighboring provinces, bringing homemade signs and artwork to express their love. Others had camped outside the mall for hours, determined to be among the first to see their hero. For them, Eala was not just a tennis player. She was a symbol of what was possible. At just 11 years old, Thiago Makahili sat through the entire event, awed by Eala's presence and feeling happy to be there. He watched as Eala gamely posed for photos and took time to sign autographs for fans who had no access to the VIP section. For Makahili, the moment was a glimpse into a future he could one day experience for himself. Because Eala had shown him that dreams from the Philippines were not impossible. The young dreamers at the Glorietta Activity Center that night were not just fans. They were the next generation of Filipino athletes, artists, and dreamers who had seen themselves in Eala and believed that they too could achieve the impossible. At 78 years old, Lola Jessie arrived clutching a thick photo album dedicated entirely to Eala. The album was filled with printouts spanning from her Les Petits days all the way to her recent Wimbledon run. Gabi gabi nagdadagdag kami, she said of the collection she builds night by night. Yung mga bakante dito, hindi ko naidikit kanina, she added, pointing to the empty spaces waiting for future victories. For Eala, the moment was a reminder of why she played. Maraming salamat sa suporta, sa pagpupuyat, sa pagdarasal, she told the crowd. I'm doing my best to make you guys proud, and I hope sana subaybayan niyo pa rin ako in my next matches and in my next journey. The event was more than a fan meet. It was a celebration of courage, excellence, and Filipino pride. A reminder that every global achievement by a Filipino inspires others to dream bigger and move forward together. The Glorietta Activity Center had become the epicenter of a movement that extended far beyond the Philippines. While hundreds packed the venue and thousands more lined the glass railings on every floor of the mall, the event's global live stream was reaching Filipinos scattered across every continent. The impact was visible in the faces of those who had traveled from overseas. A grandfather from London sat in a wheelchair, his eyes filled with disbelief at finally seeing the Filipina sensation in person. I cannot believe that I would be able to see her, he said, the emotion evident in his voice. His journey across continents was a testament to the power of representation. He had followed Eala's career from afar, cheering through television screens and streaming platforms, never imagining he would one day share the same physical space with the woman who had made history at Wimbledon. Nicole, 25, traveled all the way from Naga City with her parents just for the event. She arrived with a simple but powerful message for the tennis star. Alex, magkita tayo sa Naga! The invitation was a reminder that for millions across the Philippines, seeing Eala in person was a dream they were desperate to fulfill. The event was more than a fan meet. It was a celebration of courage, excellence, and Filipino pride. A reminder that every global achievement by a Filipino inspires others to dream bigger and move forward together. Eala's journey from a 13-year-old prodigy at the Rafa Nadal Academy to a Wimbledon giant killer had given Filipinos something they had been longing for. A hero who reminded them of who they were. Maraming salamat sa pagpupuyat sa pagdarasal, Eala told the crowd, her voice thick with emotion. I'm doing my best to make you guys proud, and I hope sana subaybayan niyo pa rin ako in my next matches and in my next journey. The event featured an onstage conversation, interactive games, and a global live stream that allowed Filipinos around the world to participate in the celebration. Fans played games covering pop culture, Filipino travel destinations, and facial expressions, with all contestants taking home prizes personally signed by the 21-year-old star. She stayed on stage for nearly an hour of one-on-one photos with guests, including Pinay singer and actress Ku Ledesma. At the end of the formal program, Eala circled the venue to take selfies with fans and sign autographs with those standing outside the barriers. The young dreamers had come to see their hero. The senior citizens had come to pay their respects, and the overseas Filipinos had come to reconnect with their homeland. They had all gathered for one reason. Alex Eala had given them something priceless. She had given them hope. She had given them pride. She had shown them that a girl from the Philippines could conquer the world. For Eala, the moment was a reminder of why she played. "This is only the start," she said. "In the near future, the US Open is coming up. So after this week, I'm going to get ready and prepare for that." The Glorietta Activity Center had become a stage not just for Eala, but for the countless fans whose lives she had touched. While the crowd roared and the cameras flashed, quieter moments unfolded that revealed the true depth of what the Filipina sensation meant to her people. Raul Panizares had been waiting since noon. 8 hours in total. He clutched a piece of artwork he had spent days creating. A digital portrait of Eala in her Wimbledon whites. The Philippine flag draped across her shoulders. "Worth it ang 8 hours. Sulit ang pagod. Alas dos nakapila na ko nagbabakasakali lang," he said, his voice carrying both exhaustion and elation. Alex is very humble and simple. His artwork was not just a tribute, it was a message, a reminder that Eala's impact extended far beyond the tennis court. Panizares was one of countless artists who had been inspired by her journey, who had channeled their pride into creative expression. He had captured the moment that had united a nation, Eala's victory over Swiatek on center court, and now he was holding the autographed piece in his hands. Senior citizens Bobby and Marian Reyes had been tennis fans since the 1980s. They had camped outside the event area as early as 9 a.m., making the trip from Muntinlupa with snacks in hand so they would not have to leave their spot. They brought an AI-generated image of Eala as Supergirl based on her iconic dive during her Wimbledon victory over Iga Swiatek. "I got to hold her hand and we were able to tell her that we love her," said Marianne, her eyes glistening. "Did you know we were already here by 9 a.m.? It was all worth it. We're just so proud of her. She's an inspiration for kids to get involved in sports," said Bobby. "Because of Alex, we've become even bigger fans of the sport." The couple hoped Eala's rise would continue through the US Open and eventually culminate in a Grand Slam singles title. For the Reyes couple, the fan meet was not just a chance to meet Eala. It was a chance to be part of something bigger, a chance to witness history, a chance to tell their hero that her journey mattered. The young dreamers had come to see their hero. The senior citizens had come to pay their respects. And the artists had come to celebrate the woman who had inspired their creativity. They had all gathered for one reason. Alex Eala had given them something priceless. She had given them hope. She had given them pride. She had shown them that a girl from the Philippines could conquer the world. The Glorietta Activity Center had become the epicenter of a movement that extended far beyond the Philippines. As the event drew to a close, the true significance of what had unfolded began to sink in. Alex Eala had not just met her fans. She had given them something priceless. She had given them hope. She had given them pride. She had shown them that a girl from the Philippines could conquer the world. The fan meet was the culmination of a homecoming that had begun just days earlier. On July 12, Eala had arrived at NIA Terminal 3 to a hero's welcome that captured the heart of a nation. Thousands of fans packed the airport, waving Philippine flags and chanting her name. The celebration continued at Malacañang Palace on July 13, where President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. conferred upon her the presidential citation for her historic Wimbledon run. She attended a media conference on July 14 before the fan meet on July 15. But the fan meet was not just a celebration. It was a recognition that the Eala Effect had become a force that transcended sport. As political and social divisions continue to test the country, Eala has embraced her growing role as a source of shared pride for Filipinos. Her success has become a rallying point, a moment where a divided nation can come together to celebrate something positive. Globe President and CEO Carl Cruz captured the sentiment perfectly. For Globe, Alex Eala embodies Filipino world-class talent, inspiring grit and hard work, telling the world that Filipinos have what it takes to compete and win. Her journey is a wonderful story of hope for all of us. When we rally behind our own, we inspire more Filipinos to dream bigger and believe in ourselves that we can make things happen. Eala had also made it clear that her homecoming was not an end. It was a beginning. "This is only the start," she told the crowd. "In the near future, the US Open is coming up. So after this week, I'm going to get ready and prepare for that." As she prepared to fly to the United States for the Washington Open starting on July 27, 2026, Eala carried with her the love and support of an entire nation. The 6-hour waits, the long journeys, the heat, and the crowds. It had all been worth it for the fans who had come to see their hero. The hard-court swing beckoned. The US Open awaited. But the legacy of her homecoming was already secure. Alex Eala had shown the world what it meant to be a Filipino champion. And the Philippines would never be the same.